29 December 2023, and today I'm going to be giving you the morning update on all the news taking place across Zimbabwe. And today we are looking at just a few stories. I won't be long here because some of the newspapers that I wanted to show you are not yet out. So I normally like to show you the independent newspaper on Fridays, but today it's not yet out. So what I'm going to do is eventually I'm going to give you the news in there tomorrow morning when it is available. I also don't have the news from the Manica Post, H Metro, B Metro. Those are the newspapers that I normally want to show you because there's important news taking place around Zimbabwe. And I know most of you are in places where you cannot access newspapers. So I normally get calls from people that don't understand what we're doing. Information is very important, and we need to distribute information around our country. And I know many people rely on these updates to understand what's going around the country. So I will be doing this on a daily basis, and I'll also be giving you guys the tenders every week so that we can make money together. Today we've got two very important stories. The first one is the threat against the CCC by Charamba. That is in the Newsday newspaper. Charamba claims that the CCC is planning to hold demonstrations in January, and he says that this demonstration is a follow-up to a demonstration that they crashed, which was supposed to happen in August. So he claims that the CCC had planned demonstration soon after the election, and when that failed, they then took other steps, and now they want to take another demonstration, or they want to have another demonstration in January. Promise Mkwananzi has rejected this assertion. He says that this is not correct. There is no planned demonstration by the CCC, and he says the CCC is not a foreign-sponsored party. That is what Charamba had said, that these demonstrations are being led from outside. But Mkwananzi says this is not correct. There is no such thing as a foreign-funded CCC. And as you are aware, Nelson Chamisa has still not posted a video of himself, and I'm very worried about what is happening, because the language that is coming from Charamba, that they will crush the CCC and remove them from the political environment, is in line with what I think they're planning to do. Nelson Chamisa is the only popular person in Zimbabwe in terms of the politics. If we were to put Mnangagwa here and you put Chamisa here, any day, or anyone else in ZANU-PF, they will lose against Nelson Chamisa. So I think ZANU-PF is now trying to find a reason to totally remove Chamisa from the environment. And this is, take this very, very seriously. It's not a joke what these guys are doing. It's a very serious problem. Now let's go to the next story, and we'll be following this obviously to see if an actual demonstration takes place in January, and what is the implication. Are the CCC able to stage a demonstration, and what will that demonstration look like? So this is something that we're looking at, and we'll be following here every day, every single day. And I hope that we get more people to assist. In January, I'm planning to bring more people to assist with bringing you news. Then we have, and sorry, our news readers, the readers are on leave currently. I'm the only person in Gambakwe Media who is available. Everyone else is on leave until the 1st. And also, you see, most media has been closed. Even other newspapers are not working. Now, let's go to the next story, which is the invasion of a very prominent farm in Umguza, in Bulawayo. Police have finally removed the ZANU-PF guys who had invaded that farm. And this story is in the Chronicle newspaper. If you are aware, the farmer who lives there, the white farmer, had barricaded himself and his family inside. And some ZANU-PF guys had gone in. It's a very profitable horticultural farm. So they'd gone in there and they'd invaded the farm. And Obed Mpofu is right next there somewhere in Umguza. So there was a suspicion that Obed Mpofu was involved in the invasion of that farm. And the ZANU-PF guys were just France. So police have finally removed those guys who had invaded that farm, violent ZANU-PF guys, and they are now claiming that ZANU-PF is now claiming that they do not have anything to do with it. This was an international incident. Everyone was aware and watching what was happening at that farm, and I think according to what they say, they've removed those people, they've arrested them, but I do not see the names of the people that were arrested here. So what it means is that they will just say we arrested the people, and then you'll never hear anything about it. So also be following about it. If you want to know more about this story, you can go to site. My brother Zenzel Ndebele has been carrying that story of Umvuchwa farm, where the ZANU-PF guys had invaded the farm and were refusing to leave. Then there is a very interesting story from Gokwe. There is a young man who was killed called Nyaradzi Dube, and he is refusing to be buried. His body is giving instructions from a coffin. Yeah, this is crazier than life, because he wants his body parts. So they took away some of his parts, the ears, the eyes, and so forth. And he's refusing to be buried. And this story is being held by the court of Chief Njelele. His body is at Kwekwe General Hospital, and he's still not been buried for 4 months because he gives instructions in person or through trances, people around. So that is the story that is there I think that is in the Herald newspaper, if I'm not mistaken, and he's refusing to be buried. Then I want to look at the final story, and this story is in the Herald. As I said, I'll be back here to give you more stories when the Sunday, so when the Independent comes through. So the story that I have here is to do with Mnangagwa, right? Mnangagwa is capping one of his worst years of failure. ED has done, like, he's getting worse and worse as the years go. Like, each year he gets worse. So now let me show you. If you look at ED, you feel sorry for him, because when he started, he did very well. Like, he could speak, he could articulate. The economy was kicking. I was in Zimbabwe myself, and shop owners were making money. Things were moving. Construction was booming. Now what has happened is cement has ran out because people are building like crazy, but ED cannot supply the cement because his body, Tagore, has taken over all the cement companies, and they're failing to supply. And now they've got a story in the newspapers. So if you go to the Chronicle and the Herald, they've got a story which says 1 busy year for president. He has commissioned 30 projects. I went through the 30 projects, and none of these projects are his projects. You should go and check it out. I'm sure they'll give this story out freely. ED, he's going to end his presidency without achieving anything. And when I say without achieving anything, I'm saying look at the ZANU-PF manifesto from 2018. That document is so well written that there is no manifesto that you can ever write in Zimbabwe that is better than that manifesto. I think before the time of Jonathan Moyo, they had very good manifestos, but those manifestos are not even as good as the manifesto done in 2018. That manifesto looks at nation building, economy, politics, future developments, all those things that are supposed to be there. But Mnangagwa has failed to implement all those things. So let me give you an example. Economically, Zimbabwe still doesn't have a currency. Zimbabwe still has no money in the ATM. Those are simple and basic things. And I keep telling guys that if you cannot have money in the ATM, what are you able to do now? Because even Lesotho or one of those small countries that are across our borders, Mozambique, I was in Mozambique a few months ago. They even have a currency. If you touch the Mozambican currency, it's beautiful. It's like you're touching the European currency. Now look what Mnangagwa has done. I want to show you something. Look at my screen. Are you looking at this screen? That is a bottle of water. 95,999. If I go out of my house here in Johannesburg, the cost of that bottle in rands is 30 rands. So that means for 30 rands, ED is giving you that bottle for $95,999. And this is special. ED, he has not done anything ever since he got into office. And I've said this to many, many people that if we leave this situation the way it is, you're going to end up with a collapsed country. By the time ED leaves, there will be nothing. But anyway, let's go through the projects. I want to take you through the project that they are speaking about here. And I want to look at Wange Power Station 7 and 8. Wange Power Station 7 and 8, they can't pay. The Chinese are demanding the money back because this was a loan and they can't pay. I've already carried you through the story. They're failing to pay for Wange 7 and 8. They're failing to pay for the loan. And the whole of Wange is going to be taken over by the Chinese. So this is not a project. Then we will look at the US 300 lithium project that was commissioned. He's got a number of lithium projects here that he said he commissioned. And all those lithium projects are not ED's project. They're projects from other companies. If you look at the Malaysia projects that he's talking about, that's also from another company. He's talking about tractors from Belarus. Where are the tractors? Do I have a tractor? Do you have a tractor? Do you know anyone with a tractor? Do you see what I'm talking about? These guys, they're just talking. I don't know. Then let's look at Machesu coal mine in Binga. Right? What is Machesu coal mine? It's delivering to where? Who is the owner? You know, those kind of things. The solar projects, have they taken off? Have they kicked off? Wikino Chivayo, he keeps winning cases against ZESA or Zimbabwe Power Company, and he keeps getting paid. But where is the solar plant? The solar plant in Rwanda. Where is that solar plant in Rwanda? So look again at other projects that they're picking out here. Aluminium sulfate plant. Where is the aluminium sulfate plant? National Oil Company of Zimbabwe ethanol plant. You know all these, the dump site at where is the dump site? The dump site is at Pomona, right? Do you see that this project, they've got nothing to do with the ZANU-PF manifesto? What is it that is touching the common man among what Mnangagwa is doing? Is ED able to deliver housing, clean water, education, development, production? The Reserve Bank is in a mess. I've shown you here how the Reserve Bank is in a mess. There is lack of a coherent economic policy in Zimbabwe. What is the interest policy, and what is the so we're looking at the interest rate, we're looking at the foreign currency policy. What are the policies there? Why are we not able to have a stable currency when we have that price that I just showed you? And that price, put this in your head, 95,999 for a bottle of water. That's inflation. Most companies that were making 30 million last year are now making 300 million as revenue. And that means everything has gone up by 10 times in 1 year. I'm not talking about 2, 3, 4 years when ED has been in office. I'm talking about in this 1 year. The price from January to now is 10 times. The currency has crashed by 10 times in 1 year. And we still have the problem that there was the rigging of the election, and that is not solved. How many times has Chamisa came out and said, let's have dialogue? And what has been ED's response to that call for dialogue? Is dialogue not the basis for a better economy? And there is a report from SADC, from EU, from AU, from all the observers that were there, that says that the economy, the past elections were rigged, and there's need to solve that problem. ED doesn't see the need to change that. The guys around ED, they don't see the need to change that. That is why your economy is crashing. Let's look at other projects that they're naming here. Asbindo Park and Aspire Heights Development, which comprises of 1,200 residential stands, a commercial center, and 152 high-end residential apartments. Do you see that when you look here, you don't see those Dubai deals that they were talking about? Dubai is going to invest 20 billion or 100 billion or 500 billion. They come up with these big numbers that they talk about here. Then Airport Magistrate Court, they name the Airport Magistrate Court here. Then let's look at other projects that they name here. Bus fares. Let's look at National Goat Genetic Improvement Center at Bindura University. So now we're getting lower and lower. Let's look at the dams. What dams here? Chivu Dam. They mentioned Chivu Dam. I don't know anyone in Chivu. Do you know about the Chivu Dam? What have you seen from Chivu Dam? Let me tell you what happened at Machekerano. We went to Machekerano, right? We wanted to do a project there. And I want to clarify to guys about this issue. I've never received land from ZANU-PF. I've never asked for land from ZANU-PF. I've never, in my whole life, asked for anything from ZANU-PF. So we went there. I had a group of about 100 Zimbabweans in the diaspora. We went to Machekerano. I personally went there to Machekerano. And when we arrived at Machekerano, there's a dam, beautiful dam, in the middle of nowhere. So when you're driving there, you drive for kilometers and kilometers, and you get to this bush, and there's this beautiful dam. On the left, there's an old farmer who's got his farm there. On the right, there's nothing. On the left, there's nothing. On the east, there's nothing. Then as you go in the bush, there are these old guys who do tobacco farming. And they are in the bush, literally. There's no development, there's no road, there's nothing. And we went there, we wanted to develop a housing project. There's a new road which was being built from the main center to the dam. So difficult to get there, but we got there. And there is a project for horticulture, which was supposed to be done there. Up to this day, if you go there, there is no development that has taken place. There's no horticulture project. There's no housing project. These guys, what they do is, when they develop a project, they then fail to do the peripheral or side things that need to be done there. The reason is, a chef, one of the guys who is in government, will be saying, I want to take over this place. So no one touches this thing. And it will sit there. So every project that you see, that ED announces here, when you go there after a year or two, there is nothing there. So they will tell you, we're doing this big dam here, we're doing this big dam there. And then eventually when you go there, there's nothing on the ground. Because ZANU-PF as a party is not capable of delivering projects. They're not capable of delivering projects because they just, I think mostly when they see a national project, they think it's a personal project. That is the problem. And that is why you see all these projects that ED is talking about here. Things like the airport at Harare International Airport. That project should have brought a lot of tourists into Harare. But do you think there's a tourist who's stupid enough to go into a city that has got cholera? Honestly, imagine yourself as a tourist. You hear that there's cholera in Harare. Do you think you go there? So who is responsible for clean water? It's not the councils. The person responsible for clean water is the Zimbabwe National Water Authority, or ZINWA. So it's supposed to be a national emergency, the cholera issue. Because right now, every city in Zimbabwe has cholera. Today, Kariba has just announced that they've got cholera. So it's a national emergency. How do you have cholera in a country like Zimbabwe in this modern day and age? Which country do you know that has got cholera? That is because there is no clean water. There is no... So instead of saying, oh, Belarus gave us tractors, or Dubai gave us this and that, what ED should be doing is to go to these countries and get someone to construct proper piping to get water to Harare. You need the dams that are surrounding the cities to provide water. So you can't continue to rely on Lake Chivero. You need to go and get, there's a dam that has been constructed in Harare which is ready to supply water. But ED has not done that. So the project that ED is doing, they talk nothing to the ordinary person because Zimbabwe continues to lag behind. What ED needs to focus on, the priorities, is the currency, the situation in the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. so that when you hold the Zimbabwe dollar, it's got value. So that when I save my money, it's got value. Then you need to prioritize housing, because right now it's a mess in Harare. Everyone just builds what they want to build. Houses are costing 500,000 US dollars. This is crazy. Who do you think who's earning $200 in the Zimbabwe government can ever hope to buy a house? So that is the crazy situation. The traffic situation in Harare shows you that there's lack of control in the country. So ED can say all these things about projects. Let's look at the helicopter issue from Russia. They failed to have pilots to move those helicopters. There's no one who can pilot those helicopters, so they are sitting there. And there is the issue of Kodri Park Health Center, a 20-bed state-of-the-art health. You can go and look at these projects that ED is talking about, and he's also talking about things like Coca-Cola, Granite Side soft drink line. So these projects have got nothing to do with ED. ED is not able to deliver, and he's failed to deliver to the ZANU-PF manifesto. This is the truth. This is how it is. And unfortunately, we have to deal with this, because the ZANU-PF guys don't get it. They don't get why the country is not doing well, and they need to do better. We need change here. People should not just sit there and let an ED continue like this. And I'm saying this to young people. And I meet young people, many young people. The biggest problem we have in our country is we do not challenge these guys who lead us. So I've been lucky that there is no politician in Zimbabwe who I do not know the people around them. So when I talk of ZANU, when I talk of CCC, when I talk of any political party that you know, Monzora, what, all these guys, there is no one that I do not know the people around them. So I know their capacity. The biggest problem we have is we've got so many young Zimbabweans who are capable, but these young people are not being used to develop our country. Challenge ED. ED call me and say, Gambabwe, come here. Help us to develop this country if you want to see. Or Chamisa, call me and say, Gambabwe, how do you develop this country? There is hundreds of Gambabwe who are afraid to come out and speak to this situation. And for years and years, you're going to stay in those countries where you're staying, and you're going to have no development. Because the guys that lead you, you are scared of them. I'm not scared of ZANU, I'm not scared of anybody, because I know the capacity of these guys. And I always tell you that I am not afraid of being killed by ED. ED will never give an order to kill me, and they will never do it. Similarly, yourself, you should not be afraid of these guys. These are just ordinary people who came from the rural areas to look for work in Harare. And then they messed it up very, very badly. We have a bad situation in our country because the guys that are leading, they don't understand what are the priorities. They set a priority and no one challenges them to say, you said you deliver a better currency. You said you deliver money in the ATM. You said you deliver jobs. They just come up with all sorts of statements. And then they fail to deliver. And then they spend the whole day saying, oh, I did a dam here, I did a dam there. What did you do with the dam? Why is our bottle of water that costs 30 rand in South Africa costing $95,999? Have you ever asked yourself that question? Why does it cost so much? Why is everything so expensive in Zimbabwe? Why is a bag of cement that costs 7 rand or 8 rand in South Africa? Okay, let's say 20 rand in South Africa, costing $20 in Zimbabwe. That is 20 times more for a bag of cement in South Africa, in Zimbabwe, than in South Africa. What causes that cost? Have you guys ever asked these guys why they have this strange situation that we have in our country? And I keep questioning you here. Where is Chamisa? Answer that question. What if these guys have grabbed Chamisa because of what they're saying here, that they want to take out CCC? What are you going to do? Do you have a plan? Are we all just sitting here and let all these things happen? So we need to challenge people like ED when they put out statements like busy year for president, 30 projects. You need to challenge ED, and ED is not going to kill you. In fact, uh, it does not kill people. That's what I can tell you. That maybe there are other people, but challenge these guys. Make sure they deliver. This is crazy. What is happening in Zimbabwe? In fact, what people are doing now, they're flying to the Vic Force straight, and then they get out of Zimbabwe, leave nothing, not even a cent in the environment, in the economy. Agents are collecting money. They book your hotel, everything. All you do is go in and come out. And this is under ED. Now, let's go to the comments. Mgoma MS is saying the demonstrations will be ruthlessly crushed. Remember, 18 people, August 18 people died. Okay, let's see what happens. But as far as I'm concerned, I talked about this yesterday, and I don't want to go back to the issue of what will happen to the politicians. Where is Ibo Mandaza these days? I don't know. I'll check. Ibo Mandaza is NGO. The guys, they're professors, so they're funded. They're not like us who have to work every day. So Gambako, are going to see him every day, because if I don't work, I don't eat. Chamisa, actually, any good news? I don't think Chamisa is going to be fine, and I am disappointed to see that many of the CCC guys are not even taking this seriously. We need to make sure that when Chamisa is quiet, you start asking questions, because the Zimbabwean environment is very, very dangerous. And whereas I'm saying ED won't touch me or won't kill me, it's not the same for Chamisa. Chamisa, if they eliminate him, politically, ZANU-PF is going to breathe a sigh of relief. So the CC guys should make sure that when there are questions, they immediately answer them. Chamisa needs to be safe. Then Silas saying ED will not kill you already, but he is killing people through the state agency. I don't think so. I don't think ED is the guy that kills people. Let me tell you about ED. ED is a business person. He is all about the money. ED does not have a plan to do what most of you guys think. And I've seen this. He is only interested in accumulation. But the problem that ED has got is he does not have a broader vision of how to make the country better. So whoever is going to become president after ED is going to find it very easy to do well. Because to fix Zimbabwe, it's simple. Just fix the currency. Put money in the ATM. Remove the informalization. But those are the things that ED does not want to do. Because his model of business is at a very low level. So, there's primary industries, secondary industries, and tertiary industries. Everything ED does is at the primary industry. So that is gold, things like farming, and so forth. Those things don't scale. So ED will never make a lot of money because the things that it does don't scale. That's why you see him doing dams, roads, things like that. The way he thinks is at a very primary level. Whereas if you look at economies that do well, they operate at a tertiary level. So that is banking, things like derivatives, things at a very high level. Tourism. If you see your country now operating at a level where you don't need to make something. You see, your country doesn't need to make anything to do well. You need to fix your economy. You need to attract people to come to your country. That is the country that does well. That is why you see Zambia does not have as much money as Zimbabwe and as much production. And if you look at Botswana, they don't have as much money and as much production, but they do well. Do you know what is the percentage of revenue for South Africa from tourism? This is the most visited country in the world. If you go to Cape Town, where I live, you will find that tourism is the biggest activity in the country. But ED does not get it. So he operates at those levels where Mugabe used to operate and where people like Mbenhanda used to operate, which is to produce. My grandfather, the great Gambakwe, he was the first iron smelter in our region. So what people used to do, if you wanted an X, Gambakwe would go and get the piece of rock and you'll be able to produce an X for you. And I literally saw him doing it myself. I was lucky to see my grandfather, the great Gambakwe, doing this. He would create an X from a piece of land or of soil. But that is not scalable. He would go to the farm. He had the best farm. In fact, when our grandfather died, he couldn't walk. He was extremely old, to the point that he was very, very old. But people had to carry him in a wheelbarrow so that he could go and till his land. He was that strong. He couldn't lie down when he was extremely old. So we had to carry him in a wheelbarrow, then leave him at his little piece of land, and to work on that piece of land the whole day. As old as, I think it was 120 or something. So what I'm saying to you here is the problem that we have with the current guys. They are failing to make use of the educated youngsters in the diaspora, educated youngsters in Zimbabwe, to develop the economy. And the youngsters are scared of being killed. So every day, the only thing you're thinking is, if I talk about ED, if I ask them to improve something, they'll kill me. You won't be killed. There's no one there to kill you, because I know these guys. And myself, I've been inside the ZANU-PF office. There's no one sitting there or a room where people are killed. So there's nothing to be scared of. And don't think a soldier or a CIO or whatever is going to kill you. They won't kill you. So we want the young guys to do well. We want you to play a part in what is happening in Zimbabwe. Otherwise, you continue being slaves in foreign countries because of a fear. So much fear every day. You don't want to challenge these guys. We want proper challenge on these guys' policies. The policies are poor and they need to be improved. So don't think I'm going to be part of this fear that people have got of being killed, to the point of not being able to do anything in your life and not challenging these things that are happening. So if the CCC guys want to do a demonstration, obviously, as Charamba said, they'll be crushed. They will arrest them and everything. So it can't be the CCC only. You guys have to also participate. You now have to adopt a new attitude in our country, so that we don't have this situation where everything is about Chamisa. Chamisa did that. Chamisa did this. What are you doing? Because you're looking for Chamisa to do something. What is it that you're doing? Exactly. So answer that question, and do not start talking of our country or our leaders. You are the person that is responsible. Right, 45,000 people are a testimony that he is capable. 45,000 people. I don't understand. Who are the 45,000 people? Is it for ED or for Chamisa? Right, I think we've talked a lot. This is our last Friday of the year, 2023. It's been a terrible year for Zimbabwean guys. It's terrible. And this has been the worst year of ED, especially after the election. There was so much hope for people to do well, for our country to do well. I was in Zimbabwe more than 5 times over the past few months. In this year, I was in Zimbabwe over 5 times. And unfortunately, things have not turned out the way we wanted to turn out. 2024 is going to be even harder for everybody. And this is not a prophecy. It's there already. You can see it. It's going to be a very, very difficult year. And myself, I started from the student organization. So in Zimbabwe, organizations like Zinaso have played an important part in bringing up everyone that you know. And the SRCs, NAST SRC, UZ SRC specifically, have produced a brand new group of leaders. And I was lucky enough at the point that I was one of the guys that was in the media of the SRCs. So the NAST SRC created the NAST Observer newspaper, and I was able to run the first newspaper because I was in IT. So they obviously needed someone in IT, and ever since then, I've been able to push this newspaper through. So I need our young guys who are in the SRCs to take this seriously. If you look at Chamisa, if you look at people like Scala, even Anatinda Ibit, all these guys are coming from the SRC. The future of our country, it lies in the hands of the students in the universities. Do not become this thing that I'm seeing there, that a person at the university is scared of ZANU-PF. When I'm saying we, I'm talking about me personally. I was covering the demonstrations at Nasty. Every demonstration I was there. And young guys were brave enough to face the riot police, were armed. And over 10 trucks of police, riot police. The most disrespected person in Zimbabwe was a riot police with a gun. And our young guys today, they're so scared. They don't know what it means. And that spirit of resisting these unreasonable things that are happening should be among all the young people that are there in our country. You need to achieve something in your life. At Gambaku Media, over the past 5 years, we have had no less than 20 graduates from the National University of Science and Technology. And we're not funded. So what we need is the youngsters in our country to move away from this thing that is there now, where a person comes out with a degree, but they don't have it in their head. We want a person that has got a degree to make a difference. And this last generation of ED and his people, this must be the last generation that is going to bring us down this road where we are. We need our young people to achieve and show that our country is so developed. And when I see our young people as attendant, cleaners, it's terrible what's happening if you move around South Africa. We are the lowest labor of people in the country. That is being used for no payment. And this needs to be addressed. We can't have this situation continuing like this. Right, I'm going to end it here. And as I said, it's the last Friday of December. We're going to obviously recap everything that has happened on New Year's Eve. And obviously, I normally have people assisting me here. I'll talk to JCTV. I know he's the guy that normally helps me to recap the year so that we can go through what has been happening. And so that is it. What's your position on the SADC chairmanship? So trends this morning from George. I will talk about SADC later on, but do not believe that ED is going to be loved. ED needs to fix this thing. He needs to address the call for dialogue with Chamisa. And Zimbabweans must just make it clear to him that this dialogue needs to come up. We need to move past this period. Chamisa can't keep saying one dialogue, and ED just sits there and does nothing. We need dialogue. We need our country to move from this period. There needs to be power sharing, and this is what I've been saying since the elections and since before the election. There is no way that we can continue like this with a bottle of water, an empty bottle of water, costing 95,000. 95,999. That's a bottle of water. It's there in the newspaper today. That's crazy. So I'm going to end it here today. And tomorrow I'll be back. We'll look at the independent newspaper. Today we've been looking at 3 most important stories. So let's recap. Charamba says the CCC is planning a demonstration in January and they're ready to crush them. And he says that this demonstration was planned in August, but they didn't start. And he's also accusing business people of supporting Chamisa. And he said most of them thought that Chamisa was going to win. And I think he's talking here of Nigel. Remember Nigel who is at the airport there and was slamming ZANU-PF like crazy. I don't know what is happening to Nigel. I see him at ZANU-PF gatherings. That's crazy. But he was really fed up with ZANU-PF at the time. Umvuchko farm, Obed Mpofu, implicated there at Unguza. There is a white farmer whose land was being taken, and the police have now arrested those guys. Nyaradzi Dube Ngokwe is refusing to be buried for 4 months, and his body is talking from his coffin. No postmortem has been conducted, but he's got missing body parts after other artisanal miners killed him for ritual purposes. And then we've got Mnangagwa saying he delivered 30 projects. But when you look deep into those projects, there is nothing there. And the economy continued to fail. And the economy of Zimbabwe continue in a direction that if you don't stop what's happening now, it's a disaster. It's an even worse disaster waiting to happen. We are going back to history. The same things that have been happening over and over in Zimbabwe are happening again. So I really want to thank you and Matsukomango, my brothers who are in ZANU PF. I know they are very disappointed that I am not having any of their uh, appeals to say, President, President, show me progress. I want to see progress. I have in the past supported the development that was taking place, especially last year. Things were really moving, but we can't continue down this road. There's dialogue that is needed here, and we need to make sure that ED is aware. ED needs to be told that dialogue is an essential in 2024. This thing of saying we're going to kill them, we're going to crush them, we're going to remove them from the earth, that must end. I don't think that they can continue down that path. ED is destroying his legacy here with what's happening in the economy. And you youngsters mustn't be afraid. When you see this guy's face, Sengezo, you should see the face of a young person that has not understood what is happening. Don't even smile at such things. Chamisa is very popular. Chamisa is part of the solution in Zimbabwe. And we need ED to understand that other countries, when they have a crisis, they go around the table and they talk. Not this thing that he's doing. All right, thank you very much, everybody, for watching. And I don't want to keep talking. I want to end it here. It's been exactly 41 minutes. I'm talking longer than Makandio. Like I'm now now like a prophet. So, and anyway, at that note, Prophet Advocate Joshua is in Zambia. He's going to be having crusade there tomorrow on Saturday. So I'll probably have him here tonight. Thank you very much, everybody, and good day to you.